The alarms screamed like dying stars as the transport ship Aurora's crown tore through the storm-ridden boundary of Sector 9. Hull plates shuddered under the violence of plasma lightning, and the vessel's artificial gravity flickered in anxious pulses. The ship had no business flying so close to the rift, but desperation makes poor navigators of even the wisest captains. In the containment wing, Cell 42B trembled with the rest of the ship. Behind shimmering energy bars sat a slender figure with luminescent silver skin, crystalline eyes, and hair that flowed like strands of moonlight even in still air. Her wrists glowed with embedded control cuffs, technology designed not just to restrain but to humiliate. Her kind didn't usually need binding, they commanded gravity with a thought. Yet here she was, Kirail, last known daughter of the Serenai Dominion, ancient race of lightborns and sworn protectors of peace, now reduced to a political bargaining chip and prisoner of war. A strike of lightning tore across the hull again, throwing the ship sideways. The lights failed for a breath. In that brief darkness, Kirail pressed trembling fingers to her throat and whispered the same prayer she had spoken every cycle since her capture. Let this end soon. Let them show mercy. Or let oblivion take me. A harsh buzz, then pale lights hummed back online. The ship steadied barely. Heavy footsteps echoed down the metallic corridor, purposeful and quick. Kirail braced herself. The door hissed open and a human stepped in. He was tall, armored, face shadowed under a visor. The insignia on his chestplate belonged to the Vanguard Coalition, military force humans and allied species formed after Serenai's fall. His boots thudded closer until he stood before her cell. The visor retracted with a hiss, revealing a man with sharp cheekbones, worn eyes, and hair shaved close to the scalp. Captain Elias Reese. Kirail had heard whispers, enemy of Serenai, slayer of lightborn guards during the siege. Human war hero. Some called him monster, others savior. All feared him. He studied her, chest rising and falling in slow control. You need to move, he said, voice rough. The ship's core is destabilizing. We're evacuating. Kirail stared at him with weary disbelief. Why would you evacuate me? You yourself called me the Serenai weapon. His jaw clenched. Orders changed. Orders. She burned a hollow laugh. How convenient your morality is, Captain, when commanded. He said nothing, only dropped the shield on the cell. When the boundary field collapsed, the air felt shockingly cold. Kirail flinched, expecting agony, punishment for stepping beyond her invisible cage. None came. Instead, Elias reached out his hand. We don't have time, he urged. Come with me. She stared at his open palm. Humans had broken Serenai worlds, torn apart star sanctuaries, shattered her kind under banners of defensive necessity. This man, this soldier, expected her trust now. Her voice broke. Please don't hurt me. The words fell out before she could stop them. A bitter humiliation. The Serenai never begged. They bent stars, bent gravity, bent destinies, until humans proved they could break gods. Elias's expression shifted, pain flickering across his eyes. He lowered his hand slowly, as if handling a wounded animal. I'm not here to hurt you, he said quietly. I'm here to save you. Kirail felt her balance waver, not physically but in spirit. She had been prepared for cruelty. She understood hatred. Mercy was the alien concept. Another tremor rocked the ship. Elias grabbed her arm, not roughly but urgently. Move. Now. She didn't resist. Couldn't. And for the first time in cycles, she wondered if survival was possible. Middle fractures in history. Sirens blared overhead as they sprinted through the corridor. Sparks burst from ruptured wiring, casting chaotic constellations around them. Elias led her through collapsing bulkheads and flickering gravity zones until they reached an emergency lift. "Lower hangar," he barked to the system. "Override code Reese Blue 7. The lift groaned but obeyed. As the doors shut, the confined silence pressed close around them. Kirail watched him, studying the lines of fatigue etched into his features, the subtle tension in his stance. "Why?" she asked at last. "Why risk everything for me?" He didn't look at her. "Because what we did was wrong." Kirail's heart stilled. Those were words she'd never expected from human lips. Not aloud, not to her face. "The Serenai broke treaties," she said carefully, almost accusing. "You claimed we hoarded knowledge, manipulated galaxies, interfered with species evolution. And maybe some of that was true," he conceded. "But it wasn't worth genocide." Her breath caught. Genocide. A human admitting it. "The coalition labeled us tyrants," she whispered. "They needed an enemy to unify against," Elias said bitterly. "And your kind was too radiant, too powerful, too other." He didn't apologize, not exactly. But shame threaded through his tone like rust in steel. "So now you choose redemption?" she asked, voice softer. "By saving one prisoner, one remnant. Redemption." He finally met her gaze. "No, I don't get redemption. But you get a chance." The lift opened to chaos. Flames, collapsing scaffolds, and soldiers shouting over comms. A starship bay, normally pristine, now a scrapyard of wreckage and emergency escape craft. A sergeant sprinted towards them. "Captain Reese. New orders just came in. Command wants the prisoner terminated, not extracted. They say she's a contingency risk." Kirail froze. Elias didn't. He drew his sidearm in a single fluid motion. Not at her but at the sergeant. "No." The sergeant blinked, stunned. "Captain, get your squad to Pod Bay 3. Evacuate. Now." "But sir, that's an order." The soldier hesitated only a second before nodding and sprinting off. Kirail stared wide-eyed. "You would shoot your own." "If they threaten the life I'm risking everything to protect," he replied. "Yes." Something fragile inside her shifted, like ice cracking after a long winter. They ran again, weaving through collapsing metal skeletons until they reached a half-destroyed hangar. Only one escape vessel remained functional, a compact long-range shuttle, patchwork repairs covering its hull like scars. Elias pushed her inside first. "Strap in. And you. I'll start launch sequence." She hesitated, then stepped aboard. The seat hummed beneath her, recognizing a life signature. As she buckled in, she saw him through the cockpit glass, slamming manual overrides, ignoring flames licking along the hangar rails. And shouts. Armed officers stormed in. "Captain Reese, stand down." Elias slammed the final ignition panel and dove into the shuttle as laser shots ricocheted off the hull. The hatch sealed. Engines roared. "Hold on," he warned. The shuttle surged forward, smashing past debris. The ship's hull tore open ahead, the plasma storm raging outside like a cosmic hurricane. For a split second, they were surrounded by violent violet lightning. Freedom. The stars reclaiming them. Alarms still wailed, systems strained, but they were clear. Elias set autopilot and leaned back, chest heaving. Only then did he realize Kirail was staring at him, not with fear, but confusion and something shyly hopeful. "You endangered your species' command for me." He nodded. "And you might face treason charges." "Almost definitely." Why? He exhaled slowly. Because I saw what my people did. I saw Serenai children burned under plasma fire. I saw leaders justify slaughter in the name of preemptive defense. I saw myself follow orders instead of conscience. Can't undo it. But I can refuse to keep doing it. Kirail felt something warm sting her vision. Serenai didn't cry. They refracted emotion into vibrational light. Her tears shimmered like liquid starlight. For cycles, I believed humans incapable of compassion, she whispered. That you despised us. Hunted us not from fear, but hatred. We feared you, he said. And fear breeds atrocity. She closed her eyes. I never wanted war. None of us did. I know. Silence stretched. Not tense, but raw, vulnerable. Then she whispered, voice trembling. When I asked you not to hurt me, I meant more than physical pain. I meant, don't break whatever small remnants of faith I hold. I won't hurt you, Elias said, steady as oath. She looked at him then, and for the first time since her world fell, she believed someone. Ending, stars remember mercy. The storm faded behind them, fractal lightning dissolving into vacuum. The shuttle glided through quiet space toward an uncharted nebula like a pearl suspended in ink. Elias set course for a rogue colony rumored neutral and hidden, somewhere they might find asylum or at least anonymity. Hours passed. They talked quietly. About home, about starfields, about old myths where humans and Serenai once traded knowledge instead of fire. Kirail spoke of her mother, a Serenai diplomat who taught her that every species carried embers of greatness. Elias spoke of Earth oceans he'd never seen, because war stole youth from him. Their wounds didn't vanish, but they became visible rather than hidden, and in that visibility, shared. Eventually, Kirail unlatched her cuffs. She turned her palms upward, revealing faint luminescent veins pulsing softly beneath her skin. These restraints severed my connection to harmonic fields, she murmured. But I think I can restore some power. Elias tensed slightly, instinct flickering, but he forced himself still. You don't need to fear me, Captain Reese. I know, he said. And he meant it. She extended her hands toward the shuttle's fractured console. Energy hummed gentle and pure like starlight singing. Panels that had sputtered and cracked smoothed. Warning lights dimmed. The ship drifted steadier, calmer, like a wounded beast comforted by a healer's touch. She leaned back, breathing slightly harder. It will hold. Elias stared. You could have left. Disabled me. Taken the ship. And go where? She asked softly. A universe that wants me dead. Well, I would rather face it beside the first human who treated me as more than a weapon. He swallowed. Then we'll face it together. Her lips curved, not into a smile of triumph, but something fragile and beautiful. Trust reborn too early to stand tall, but strong enough to exist. Suddenly, the shuttle console pinged, a long-range scan detecting a fleet signature far behind. Coalition ships. Searching. Elias stiffened. They're tracking life signatures. Then they'll find us. Unless. He turned to her. Something fierce sparked in his eyes. Not war, but defiance of cruelty. We change our signatures. They'll scan for human and Serenai frequencies. But if we blend them, Kirill frowned. Merge fields. We could destabilize. We'll try, he said simply. She nodded, placing her hand in his. Their energies intertwined. His biological pulse rhythm aligning with her harmonic resonance. The ship hummed. Sensors flickered, glitched. Then stilled. The coalition fleet passed, blind. Elias let out a shaking breath. Kirail's hand lingered in his a moment longer. You trusted me, he whispered. I had to, she replied. For if I cannot trust even the one who saved me, then peace has no place left in this universe. Outside, the nebula stretched like a cradle of newborn stars. Inside, two souls, once enemies, once shattered, sat in quiet companionship, no longer defined by war. Kirill gazed out the viewport. Perhaps one day, our worlds will understand what we found today. What's that? That mercy is not weakness, and hope is not foolish. Elias nodded, voice low. And belief can be rebuilt. She looked at him. No fear, no plea, just gentle truth. Thank you, she whispered, for making me believe again. He simply answered, You never lost your light. I only gave it room to shine. The shuttle drifted toward the nebula's embrace, bearing two lives stitched by fragile trust, glimmering like dawn through darkness. And somewhere deep in the silent cosmos, the future shifted ever so slightly toward peace.